Hello, and welcome to the Empowerography Podcast. This is a platform created for women's voices to be heard and a place to share their stories, journeys, and successes with the world for the purpose of helping other women who might be on similar journeys. We are empowering women one episode at a time. I'm your host, Brad Walsh, so kick back, grab one of your favorite beverages, and enjoy the stories. If you're looking for jewelry that makes an impact on your self-care routine and your style, Empowerography would love to offer you a discount code to one of our exclusive partners, Quartz and Canary Jewelry and Wellness Company. Please use code EMPOWER15 to receive 15% off upon checkout at www.quartzandcanary.com. Quartz and Canary is truly the place where spirituality meets style. Hello there, Brad Walsh here, your host of the Empowerography Podcast. Today, my guest is Maria Manna. She is a singer and songwriter based in Victoria, BC. How you doing today, Maria?
I'm great. How are you, Brad?
I'm doing very well, thank you. Thank you so much for taking the time to be here today and share with us a bit about your story and your journey here on the Empowerography Podcast and being a part of the community. Thank you. I appreciate that.
My pleasure.
So, Maria, as I mentioned, you're a singer, songwriter, but you're also a director, a playwright, a philanthropist, an ordained minister, and you've also done some acting. This is quite the extensive resume you have. How do you find and make the time to fit all this stuff into your life, Maria?
Well, listen, and I'm not ashamed to say it. I'm 60 years old. So 60 years is a long time to do a whole bunch of different things. I know that some people have a career and it spans their whole lifetime. I've just had the opportunity to, dip into a whole bunch of different things. And it's just made my life very rich.
I love it. Let's start with your first love, which is obviously music. Did you grow up in a musical household?
I did and I didn't. I mean, My father, he sang, he had a quasi break singing on a ship when he came over from Italy and, was getting discovered, but didn't take that opportunity. And my mother sang in a choir in Italy. So there was that background. Yeah. And, we always had music in the house. But I think I am the only one who's ever done anything with it in my family. Okay.
Now, how long have you been performing, Maria?
Well, this is what we say. You're a professional when you start getting paid. So yes. I started getting paid when I was 18 years old. I had an Italian wedding band. So since I was 18 years old.
Wow. Amazing.
Yeah.
Who are some of your musical influences?
I had the opportunity to meet two incredible musicians and singers and writers. One was Tony Bennett. The other one was Paul Anka.
Oh, Tony Bennett. Wow.
I flew with him from LaGuardia to Toronto. Oh, and wow. I sat next to him and he told me stories and we spoke about Italy, and he was so cute. He didn't really realize how not high up there I am in the industry. And he said, do you know, he mentioned some famous Canadian singers.
Yeah.
And I said, oh, sure. Diana Krall and Katie Lang. Oh, yeah, sure. I know them.
What was that like for you meeting these two names? They are huge in, of course, adult contemporary jazz music and whatnot. What was that like for you? I mean, I've always heard that you should never meet your idols and people you admire.
I think when it comes to the music industry, I feel that it would be different than, let's say, if I met Robert De Niro. I love to see Robert De Niro in his roles. To actually meet him and have a conversation with him, I think that would ruin it for me. Yeah. But a singer, a performer, what they do on stage comes from their soul, I believe. And it's an expression of who they are. And I think they always still carry that with them. Yeah. So meeting Tony Bennett was, and Paul Anka, it was like I got to have a glimpse into their soul through their eyes when I sat with them.
Amazing. What type of music do you personally like listening to when you sit down to listen to music?
So, I'm very heavily Italian influenced.
Yeah.
So we listened to Italian music growing up. But I would have to say I love classical and I love opera.
Okay.
Of course I love jazz. I sing
Yes.
jazz and my Italian music. But if I had to sit and relax, I would either want to listen to an opera piece or Beethoven yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Hmm.
How long have you been writing songs, and do you write both music and lyrics?
So I don't read music per se, and I don't write music. But what
Okay.
I do when I come up with a song, and the process for me is there's a ditty in my head, right? And
Yeah.
there's a little something going on, and and I'm thinking, wow, that could be something. So I'll record myself singing that,
Okay.
and it'll be a stanza, right?
Yeah.
Or it could be an AABA, so verse, verse, chorus, verse, just humming it, and then I'll throw words in it. Then I'll take it to a pianist and I'll say, here's what I laid out. Can you put some chords to it? And we'll
Yeah.
work on the chords. And that's basically the process. So I've been doing that. I started writing jingles in Edmonton, and that's how I started, writing
Okay.
music. Yeah.
Okay. Jingles for TV commercials and whatnot.
No, for the Italian radio program.
Oh, okay.
But in English, it was just a real cute city center meats, the place to go for beef, and all the meats you love to eat. It's always fresh and guaranteed at City Center. That's the place for city center meats.
Bravo.
God, I still remember that one.
That's hilarious. Now, do you play any musical instruments?
I don't. I grew up not having the opportunity to, it just was never a thing for my family. They didn't think anybody would make a living in the arts unless you slept your way to the top. And so, of course, they discouraged that. So we didn't have piano lessons or singing lessons. So we just worked on it by myself.
Okay. Yeah, because of course, parents of that era, it is impossible. There's no way you can make money at art, whether it be painting, music, photography. It's not going to happen. That
Right.
was their mindset, right?
Yeah. Yeah. For sure. I wanted to mention that I've met like Tony Bennett, Paul Anka, but the people that I've actually worked with, like Alfie Zappacosta, I'm sure you've heard of him.
Yeah.
I've worked with him. I worked with Tommy Banks, who was, a renowned pianist in Edmonton. And 2 years ago, well, before COVID started, I was scheduled to do 2 shows with Diane Shure.
Wow.
And now, do you know who she is?
Yes.
Yeah, we just spoke this morning and we're trying to, put that show back together again. So I've had some really wonderful opportunities. I remember opening for the Beach Boys in Edmonton one year, and
Really?
they were not very nice people. But
No?
anyway, no, I think they were but you know what? That was probably the only sour experience I've had in my career. I've had a good time.
I was going to say, like, with that, I would think, or I wonder if that would jade people, because again, as I mentioned before, I've always heard that you should never meet your idols because it could be potentially very disappointing and sour you towards meeting any others.
Right. I just thought either these guys are having a bad day or walk a mile in their shoes.
Yeah.
Because I don't know what they're going through. Maybe they think, I was small fry too. I wasn't anything. If I had a bigger name, I think they would have paid more attention. But
Right.
anyway, but it was an experience.
Yeah, for sure. Absolutely. Now, I read that you were the first female in the province of Alberta to record an entire album in Italian, which of course is your first language. When was that album recorded?
In 93.
93, okay. And what was it called?
Solo Amore.
Solo Amore.
Yeah.
Excellent. How was that experience going into the studio and recording? And
so the studio was in a guy's basement.
Okay.
But he spent back in 93, spent about $150,000 creating a room in a room, because basically that's what it is. And just state of the art for that time. It was amazing. I felt intimidated though, because he was the director and he was the engineer and all that. So he would tell me to do things that I kind of didn't want to do, like, sing it this way. And I didn't really want to, and it was a little cheesy, but it was an experience that I'll never forget. It was the first time in a studio. So it was pretty impressive.
So are you happy with the final product when you look back on that now?
When I look back at it, I think now, geez, that really needs we need a better keyboard. We need, got to pull back on the guitars. That solo was way too long,
Yeah.
But it's like anything, you look back 20, 30, 40 years and you look at it with fresh eyes and you could always make improvements.
For sure. Now, you're an award-winning jazz, blues, and gospel vocalist. I assume that jazz and blues are your forte. You've worked alongside some pretty legendary names in the industry, as you mentioned. Can you tell us about that experience for you, working with these people and actually being side by side and working with them?
Yeah, sure. Like I was talking about Alfie Zappacosta, when he first in the 90s moved from Montreal to Edmonton, he was there to, he wanted to raise a family in a smaller city. And back then, believe it or not, that was a smaller city.
Right.
And so he was just a regular guy. And Italian is my first language. So for me to be able to speak to someone of his caliber in our language was so fascinating. And he was just like this normal guy. And you know what he did for me? He recognized that I had talent and that I really appreciated. Didn't matter where he came from, what his experiences were. He recognized me as a singer like he was a singer. And that made me feel comfortable. And of course, then I wasn't nervous. Also working with Tommy Banks. When Tommy Banks came to our house to rehearse because I was going to do a show with him.
Okay.
And PJ Perry and all these monster cats. I was like, I cleaned the house. I had every kind of beverage available. I was just so, and then he just sat down at the piano and he said, sing. And we did, and we played together, and they're just normal people.
Yeah. Awesome.
Yeah.
What's your latest album, and when was it recorded and released?
I think it was in 2017, and it's called With Love.
What lights you up or inspires you the most about being a vocalist, recording, and performing artist?
Yeah, putting a show together, just the process of thinking up of a show and putting that together, just the whole process. Like, for instance, I'm working on a Judy Garland show. And, a lot goes into it. It's not just, finding her songs, memorizing them, and finding a good band. It's, I need to get the outfits. I need to lose a couple of pounds. I want to add story to the show. And that just, I don't know, that I just get into this world and the process is wonderful. The other thing that really lights my soul is when I've worked with a student and then launching him or her. That just makes me just so happy that I was a participant in the success of that person.
Yeah, that's got to be an incredible feeling to see them go from point A to point B in their journey. And take off and kind of grow wings, for lack of a better term. And fly out, right?
Yes.
You are a big advocate for helping others in the music industry. I read that you spearheaded Vancouver Island's Got Talent. Can you talk a bit about that experience and how that all came to be?
I was in the shower one day and I had a friend who wanted to work with me, and he was a really good guy, good Christian man, and loved his family, loved his wife. And I just felt so comfortable talking with this guy. We were like brother and sister. And I got out of the shower and I phoned him and I said, I know what we're going to do. And he said, what? We're going to create Vancouver Island's Got Talent. He said, we are? And I said, absolutely. It's going to be fun. It's going to be incredible. And I don't know what it looks like yet, but it's going to be great. So I got some great sponsors, and it was to raise funds for a bursary I created at the Conservatory of Music for kids that can't afford music lessons. So we did 13 elimination shows, just like whatever, America's Got
Talent or Britain's Got Talent or whatever it is.
I had great judges. I had Mike Reno.
Wow.
I had Jeff Neal from Street Heart. I had Trooper. I had all these guys supporting. Yeah, I had Mike Frazier, engineer in Vancouver, who works with all the metal bands. And anyway, so I had the support from all these people across Canada. And it was great. So guess what? The person who won the whole competition was Sky Mundell, who is probably 75% deaf with hearing aids. He is blind. He's got cerebral palsy. And he's autistic. And he won the whole thing. And what he won was a contract to perform at Planet Hollywood in Las Vegas. Wow. And then he opened for Michael Bolton.
Holy crow. That's incredible.
So it was a really successful show. We raised some good money. I think we in the bursary, I think we ended up with about $15,000 or $20,000.
That is incredible to give back and help kids, because I think that art and music is so important for children.
Yes, absolutely.
That's phenomenal. So was that just a one-off thing, or are you going to do it again, or?
That was in 2010. Okay. That took up probably about 8 months.
Yeah.
But it kind of ran its course.
Yeah. Okay.
So I'm just, there's always a show around the corner.
I love it. Let's talk a bit about your philanthropic work, Maria.
Sure.
Why is doing this type of work so important to you personally?
I really feel lucky in my life. I've had a good life, and I've always felt the need to give back, and I'm just grateful. So if there's anywhere I can help or anyone I can help, I will do it. And, I created a couple of charities that we'll probably talk about later. Yeah. But it's just the desire to give back.
How long have you been involved in this type of work? And was there something in particular that inspired you to get started as a philanthropist?
Okay, let me tell you this, Brad. I was 6 years old. I was 6 years old. I couldn't even speak English because we didn't speak English at home. But we had a little record player. Yeah. And my neighbor, who was also Italian, but had a lot of English influence, brought over some 45s.
Okay.
And I wanted to put on a concert and raise funds for the poorest kid on the block. And her name was Carol. We called her Little Carol. There were 5 kids in that family. So I charged everybody a penny to come to the show, and all the proceeds went to Little Carol.
I love it.
But Little Carol had 5 kids in her family.
Yeah.
And so the 5 pennies came from them. And so there was only really about 7 pennies. So they made money. But that's how it started.
That's hilarious. At 6 years old, you were a philanthropist then.
Yeah. Oh, geez.
Now, as you mentioned, you've founded a few charities and organizations and worked with many others, of course. Can you talk a bit about the ones you founded and tell us about a highlight for you personally of one in organization that you've worked with and that really sticks out for you?
Sure. I'm a co-founder for UJAMS, which is Universal Jazz Advocates and Mentors Society. And we founded that in about 2004 and became a charity, I believe, with status in, I think it was 2013. So that organization continues to mentor and educate people, youngsters and older people in the jazz music industry. There's camps that, well, now with COVID, we couldn't do it last year,
of course.
But I don't know if it's going to happen this year, but we've had a couple of successful camps. And so, so that felt good to create that. And then just this February, I received charity status for something else I created, and that's the BC Vocalist Society, where we help vocalists here in British Columbia who are needing support of whatever kind, whether it's, they can't financially afford maybe 1 or 2 months of rent, or they need help with their groceries or whatever. So that it's still in its infancy. So we're hoping to have some fundraisers and raise some funds so that we can help these vocalists.
That's amazing. I love it.
Mm-hmm.
Now, you've also done some acting, producing, and directing. Can you tell us a bit about your experience with all three, and which one of those three sticks out for you as your favorite? Do you acting, producing, or directing?
So I did some acting, and I wasn't really fond of it because it was.
Any particular reason?
I don't know. Acting is pretending, and I don't like to pretend. So, and that was the movie called The Engagement Ring, where I worked alongside Patricia. Oh my God, what's her name from Everybody Loves Raymond?
Oh, yes.
Yeah,
I can't remember what her name is, but yes,
Patricia Heaton and Lainey Kazan from My Big Fat Greek Wedding.
Oh,
so,
wow.
So I worked with them, and I was also a vocal coach for Lainey Kazan, both for helping her enunciate Italian words and helping her sing an Italian song that she performed in the movie. And that was memorable because I got to meet some pretty big people. I was a principal actor. I got to have steak and lobster. I had my and that was fun. And then I also created Manna City Chat, which was 5 episodes here in Victoria. And there I had the opportunity to create a show, produce it, and direct it. And that was really exciting to actually, come up with a concept, much like I did with Vancouver Island's Got Talent, and bring it to fruition, And then most recently, my most recent production was producing Tony and Tina's wedding. Have you heard of that?
Yes, I have heard of Tony and Tina. That was big here. That was playing in one of the theaters here in downtown Toronto years ago. And it had quite a long run here, too.
Oh, it was a lot of fun. I got to produce it and be a part of it. I was the mother of the bride. So it gave me the opportunity to talk with my Long Island accent. So that was a lot of fun, too.
You're hilarious. That's awesome. Now, as I mentioned previously, you're also an ordained minister. What inspired you to become an ordained minister, and how long have you been doing that?
So I've been an ordained minister for 4 years. I don't have my own church. I do belong to Abba Ministries. I just, I'm a Christian. I was born and raised Italian Roman Catholic.
Yes.
But, I just wanted to just get closer with my faith and try to help more people. There's so many people that are lost out there. And I just thought, if I can help the poor and help the lost and the sad and the lonely and the sick, I just felt it was a calling. And I still do, again, with the lockdowns and things like that, I can't go anywhere. But June 10th, I have a jazz and gospel show I'm doing online. So, I get a little bit preachy and then I throw in a little bit of black gospel and jazz. And a lot of fun.
Beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
I read that you're also an author and writer.
Mm-hmm.
Having been a contributing author to a work of short stories, and you were working on a screenplay for that short story you wrote. What was the experience like for you being a contributing author to a book? And what's the name of the book you contributed to? And what's the name of the short story you wrote?
So the story is called Bella Figura. Okay. Bella Figura means a good front or make a good face or, looking good in public. The book of, the compilation book is called Earth Angels. Okay. There's 13 stories. I'm one of them. And the process of writing it was very interesting. It stirred my soul because it was my story.
Okay.
And the story of, thinking I had this wonderful life, but, something my son had said about the way my husband was treating me made me reevaluate, do I want to stay in this marriage? Because if I do, my son will learn that this is how you treat women, and my daughter will learn that this is how women should be treated. So when I made that decision to leave this relationship, my whole world came tumbling down. I had no support from anyone. And so in in writing this story, I relived it. Although it was 20 years ago, it was heart-wrenching. It really was. But it was also healing at the same time. And when I showed a screenwriter, when I let her read my story, she said, you know what, this would be a great screenplay. Wow. So I started working on that. And here I am today, second draft.
Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you.
Any idea as to when this will be making it onto the screen?
You know what? I give it about 3 years.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's about funding and things like that.
Yes.
And, but yeah, I'm also working with an incredible screenwriter by the name of Craig Van Sickle, who's actually a cousin of mine who had written the series, The Pretender, The Murder, She Wrote, and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So he's coaching me. So yeah, it's a fun process.
Lots of support and help.
Yes.
And it's a fun process. You enjoying it?
Very much so. Yeah, especially during COVID, when you've got nothing to do. So I write.
There you go. That's awesome.
Yeah.
To date, Maria, what would you say is your biggest high or your greatest win?
There's so many things. I just always feel lucky and just fortunate and blessed when something great happens. My children were great when I had my children. When I met my now husband, Christopher, that's a high. So there's just so many things, Brad, so many.
What do you think your unique skill set or superpower is that's helped you become successful?
Wow. I would have to say, positive thinking, believing that you can do whatever, and just reinventing myself. I think I have that skill set to, there's singers that are like just flogging that same 10, 15 songs, and they're doing that same show. And I'm like, reinvent yourself, do something different, step out of the box. And I've been successful at it. I think there's a bit of naivety that I have. I just always believe that I can achieve things. And I just always think that it can happen. And, it goes back to when my dad, something so valuable to me. And I lost my dad. It's 6 months yesterday.
I'm sorry.
But yeah, thank you. He said to me, I said to him, Dad, what should I be when I grow up? I think I was 12 years old. And he said, you were born in this country, Maria. You can do anything you want, anything. And I said, and then I will. And that's why I've done so many things in my life. I
love that, though. That's great. I mean, I think that more kids need that value instilled into them and taught to them so that they grow up believing it, and just it becomes ingrained in who they are. It becomes in their DNA, and they just strive for everything. They work at it and achieve it. And because I like you, I believe that we can do anything we want in life. There are no limits. It's completely limitless. As long as you set your mind to it and you put in the work, you can achieve it.
Yes, exactly. And I have my father to thank for that, because it was because of him that I've done all that I've done.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
So speaking of success, Maria, how do you define the word success? What does that word mean to you?
Well, Brad, I think success is setting a goal and achieving it, right? No matter what the goal is.
Yeah.
Success is achieving that goal.
I love it.
Yeah. It's, it could be, I'm going to lose 2 pounds this week. Right. And you do, and you have been successful.
Yeah, you put the work in and you do it.
That's right. And that to me is success.
Beautiful. What would you say is one of the most important things you've learned in your life? And what was your life like before learning it? And what was your life like after learning it?
Oh, God, the most important thing I've learned. I think I'm stumped. I've learned so many, I don't want to be cliche, but, to love and be loved, to accept people the way they are, and to be wise, always be on the lookout. And I think every time you fall down from something, when you get up, and you must get up, you must look back and see why you fell and learn from it. That makes you wiser and move on.
For sure. I mean, that's it, right? It's the ability to be able to, when we fall down, pick ourselves back up and get at it again and give it another try. Don't let it get you down. Don't let it deter you. As long as you fall down 8 times, as long as you get up 9 times, that's what matters. And just go back at it and learn from your mistakes, learn from the things that prevented you from achieving what you wanted to achieve, and use that knowledge to work towards achieving it.
Yeah, absolutely.
What would you say is one of the best pieces of advice you've ever received?
Probably that advice from my dad. You could do anything in the world that you want. And I've always had that with everything that I've started. You know, I was a private investigator for 5 years.
Is there anything that you don't do, Maria?
I really have done a lot of different things, but you know,
apparently.
When I started, I just thought, I'm going to do this. Dad said. And it, to me, was the most valuable advice. You can do anything, Maria.
How was that world of private investigating?
You know, despite what you see on TV, it's very boring. It's surveillance. I did a lot of insurance fraud, but I did do some stuff that was a little bit dangerous. I had a gun pulled on me. You know, I was chasing a guy who was cheating with his best friend's girl, and I started following him. He caught me and pulled a gun on me, and I ceased. So there were, you know, but you know what, Brad, really, that's the only exciting thing that's ever happened in that world of private investigating. But I was, you know, I was a tracer and process server. And so, yeah, I have my law enforcement.
That's wow. You never cease to amaze. What makes you feel inspired or like your best self, Maria?
I think when I set out to help somebody and they succeed, you know, I love to watch people succeed. And if I've had anything to do with it, of course, you know, it just fills my soul. So, yeah, I guess that would probably be my best answer.
Yeah, there is, honestly, I don't think there's any better feeling than knowing that you've had impact on someone's life and helped them.
Yes.
It's an incredible feeling.
Yeah.
What does the word empowerment mean to you?
Empowerment to me means strength and courage.
Okay.
Yeah.
We're going to do a little rapid fire section here. So the next grouping of questions will just be 1, 2, 3 word answer type things. Okay.
Okay.
How would you describe yourself in 1 word?
1 word, resilient.
If you're writing your autobiography, what would the title be?
Well, to quote my husband, welcome to life with Maria.
What's your favorite stress-reducing activity?
Probably cooking and singing.
If you could teach the world 1 thing, what would it be?
Empathy.
If you came with a warning label, what would yours say?
Oh, geez. May cause you to love deeper.
I love it. If you could change 1 thing about the world, what would you change?
Making people more accepting of diversity.
What's 1 thing you want but cannot buy with money?
World peace.
If you had a theme song that played every time you walked into a room, what song would that be?
This could be the start of something big.
I love it.
Yeah.
Money or fame?
I would have to say fame.
Okay.
Because then you can make money.
All right. Early bird or night owl?
Definitely early bird.
And that concludes our rapid fire section. Now back to our regularly scheduled program.
Okay.
Maria, if you could sit down and have a 1-hour conversation with anyone in the world, alive or dead, who would it be and why?
Hands down, Jesus.
Okay.
I would have so many questions. Why? Why?
The same question.
Why this? Why that?
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
What would you say is your personal motto?
I think I have two. One is do unto others as you would have others do unto you. And the other one is he ain't heavy, he's my brother.
I think there's a song in there somewhere.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Who in your life has had the biggest impact on you and why?
I think it would have to be my dad.
Yeah.
Yeah. My dad was resilient. My dad, came from Italy and just made things happen here in Canada. And despite, a lot of adversity, he succeeded and he taught us well.
Awesome. If you could step into my shoes, what would you have asked yourself that I didn't ask you?
I've never been asked this many questions. I think you covered it, Brad.
All right. Well, that's good. I'm glad to hear that. That means I'm doing my job well.
Oh, you are. Yeah.
Thank you. Maria, if you could go back and give your younger self one piece of advice, what would that piece of advice be?
I think I would sit her down and I would say to her, you're going to be okay. You're going to do well. Don't worry about things so much. You're a good person and people love you.
I love it. That's beautiful.
Yeah.
Lastly, Maria, if
you
were to deliver your last 30-second speech to the world, what would that last 30 seconds sound like?
Oh, geez. I'd say love and accept one another, be kind and gentle, and there really is the other side. I had this wonderful experience, a near-death experience at the age of 6, and I died and crossed over and came back, and wow. There is another side.
At 6 years old?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. It was amazing. Amazing. I bled to death in a hospital. And that lends to a lot of questions that you've asked. A lot of my answers, stem from that experience.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
That's incredible. Wow.
Yeah.
Maria, this has been such an incredibly wonderful chat. You are such an amazing inspiration with all that you are doing. You are an incredible example of you can accomplish anything in life as long as you put in the work and put your mind to it. I mean, look at all that you've done. It is absolutely mind-blowing. I love it. This has been such an amazing conversation. We've had a lot of laughs, and
yes,
you're just, wow, an incredibly inspiring woman. Thank you so much for taking the time to be here today and share a bit about your story and your journey, and welcome to the Empowerography community. It's an honor and a pleasure to have you as part of the community, and I just want you to know that I appreciate you.
Well, Brad, I want to thank you for this wonderful opportunity, because it almost feels like a rebirth every time I think about these things, and it's refreshing. And even during these times of COVID, and, I think the questions that you asked me, I think people should, whoever is listening to this, should pause after each question, and they should ask themselves these questions, because it is good. It's refreshing for your soul. Mm-hmm. And it has been a good experience for me, and I want to thank you.
Oh, it's been my pleasure and honor. This has been such a thoroughly enjoyable conversation. I've had so much fun, and I just want to say I thank you and appreciate you, because, like I said, you are an incredible inspiration and a testament to showing people that you can do anything you want to accomplish in life. I love it.
Thanks, Brad.
Once again, my name is Brad Walsh, host of your Empowerography podcast. My guest today has been Maria Manna. She is a singer and songwriter based in Victoria, BC. Thank you so much, Maria. I hope you have an amazing rest of the day.
Thank you. You too, Brad.
Thank you very much for listening to this podcast. If you haven't yet, please be sure to subscribe, rate, review, and share with all your friends. You can find me at viseuphoria.ca and follow me on Instagram at Empowerography Podcast and on Facebook at Empowerography. Please join me next time for another inspirational story from yet another amazing woman.